Louder with Crowder is brought to you in part by .com. Support the fight, go buy some merchandise at the shop. It's a great conversation starter and irritates all the right people. .com.
Yeah, wonderful. That was called the I Know Something You Don't Know sip.
Oh, mysterious.
Oh, so glad to be with you. We have a big ass show today.
Big ass
show. We have Donald Trump Jr. in the show.
Wow.
Son of the president. I know what you're thinking. Hunter was not available because it was the annual Wisconsin Cheese Fest.
Well,
Yeah,
And you never know.
It's a lot to smoke.
Yeah,
He's
just
a busy
showed up.
man.
It's a brilliant way to just have your drugs hidden in plain sight. Just show up to a Packers game
Of course.
and just
And then make some art.
right. And of course, we're going to be talking. We have a full unedited tape here today of what went down with the H3H3 because there were many surprises. And we'll be talking about transgenders at the Olympics.
Oh, well, that's
a lot of fun.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And taking your chats. But first, Gerald A., how are you, sir?
I am angry.
Really?
Yes.
Well, okay. I won't.
There's stupidity abounds, my friend.
Just make sure that if you're angry, you when you transform, that the pants don't rip.
They never do.
They never do.
Yeah, they're stretchy.
Yeah,
Back
I
they had
planned
stretchy
ahead.
purple jeans, which begs some other questions.
Stop
the
it.
Hulk. I'm sorry, Banna. Quarter Black Garrett, how are you?
Yo, I'm ready to watch a show.
I'm ready to watch the show as well. And we have Dave Lando. You have a show coming up this weekend?
Ahoy. Yes, I do. I will be in Buffalo, New York at Helium. And I do want to throw this in real quick. The 1st and 2nd of July, I will be at Big L's in Minnesota. Emily, Minnesota. He's a huge fan of the show.
Big L is?
Big L's.
Oh, Big Al.
I have that terrible Michigan accent.
Do you think when his parents named him Big Al, they intended for him to be a prison rapist?
I think so. Well, I guess you hope you go with Alex, but then it can either turn into like, oh, he's like P. Keaton, or he's a rapist.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Either one.
So I'm looking forward to. We're going to get to some of the H3 stuff in a little bit. And well, first though, let's just watch this. The San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. Is it choir or Gay Men's Chorus?
It's a chorus.
I think it's a chorus.
I guess the Vienna
it's a
Boys
whole- it's a bunch of
Choir
different
has
things,
the corner on that.
They do.
They use the term choir.
Yeah. They just took it from
We like other men's butts.
I don't think they had a choice.
Tained.
What? Jeez.
Sir.
So this is the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus.
I was auditioning.
This is more, again, these people are all taking the role of being glorified advertisers for Big Pharma, wanting you to get vaccinated. They don't understand that they look like the North Korean army in that square.
Kim Il Sung Square.
Oh, Kim Il Sung Square. Lance Paz?
Look at that guy.
I'm sure getting pricked with something doesn't hurt one of them.
That's funny.
Now let's do one about condoms.
They got Serena Williams in the payroll.
Oh, that's great. I think that's her sister.
How about HIV? What gets rid of that?
Not the group session they're going to have after that chorus session.
That looks like the beginning of the prison scene from Human Centipede 3 when in the jail.
No, it looks like. Do we have a picture of that square?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Vaccinate,
Vaccinate, Moderna.
And Fauci's dear leader. Whatever he says is gospel.
That's who signs his checks.
Also, Fauci got 12 holes in one in his first game of golf.
Ah.
Whoa.
Don't question it.
Wow.
By the way, we're just so you know, the show. The best thing you can do is just tune in. It's a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, and you could subscribe to the podcast audio. Because we don't know how long we're on YouTube. We're on Apple, Android, Spotify, all that stuff.
I'd like to remove us
places,
for no apparent reason.
Yeah, and well, I'll get to the question later. But first off, do you think that Jen Psaki is a demon straight from the pits of hell?
Possibly.
Because we have some proof.
Yeah.
So yesterday, a fly landed on Jen Psaki during a press conference. You've probably seen this.
Was it the Pence fly?
Well, first let me say we've
Maybe.
made tremendous progress in our vaccination efforts to date. No. Go ahead.
Thanks. I think there's a fly on your head.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, guys. At least it's not a cicada. I swear, those things are.
Cicada.
Okay, but I do have an actual question.
I don't understand what you said. We're supposed to eat the cicadas now.
Yeah,
I
what's
think
up with
so.
that, man? What's up with the
Did
cicadas?
you see your tongue go out to try to eat it?
Well, actually, this is the one thing we have we isolated the audio and zoomed in, and this is something a lot of people missed because they shoot in a 30 frame rate.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
So we got a 60,
Yeah, sometimes you don't catch it.
and we have the exclusive here.
Thanks. I think there's a fly on your head.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, guys. At least it's not a cicada. I swear, those things are.
Wow.
She is skilled.
Wow.
That is. Whoa.
Accuracy.
I thought
on
chopsticks, with Mr. Miyagi catching was. Yeah, it's good.
No, that's
Miyagi ain't got nothing on.
it's the lizard people. we know this. Oh,
Mr. Saki, yes, sir. Regret to inform you, work for demented old circus monkey.
I eat
No,
a
no,
fry,
no, no, no.
gain one more freckle.
People don't remember that. That was really like they think of Karate Kid. There were some really, really touching scenes in that.
There were.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that one was where he was drunk,
Beautiful.
talking about how he lost his wife during
family,
childhood.
yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And we had Ralph Macchio on the show. I remember talking with him. I thought it was some of the best acting that I'd seen as far as someone who was an adult playing a teenager when he was saying, I just want to go home. I want to go home to New
Yeah.
York. And I remember asking him about that. And you could see he was touched because I think a lot of people, it sort of became campy
Yeah.
and remembered what Karate Kid was sort of known for, the iconic poster.
Yeah.
The guy really had some acting chops.
Yeah, how old was he
tried.
when he did that?
I think he was like 54.
Yeah, she's up there. He was up there. I like how that whole
Mr.
movie.
Miyagi.
He's advanced.
That whole movie is just Mr. Miyagi, who is in fact a drunk, trying to make this boy do his housework.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, you wax my car. He's like, this is karate. He's like, yeah, go cut my lawn with your shirt off.
Right.
Oh, don't worry, I'll teach you a crane
Ancient
kick.
Japanese technique.
Must wax on and must put the Johnson baby oil.
Oh, is that a fact, Sensei Pat?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Do a crane kick, which no one will see coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than
I just
everyone.
love that entire thing of like, oh, he might be kicking you, but whatever.
I've
was
removed
very
all other
illegal.
limbs.
All right,
You only
guys,
have
we
to
have other
focus.
stories we have to move on to.
All
By the
right.
way, hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. So on the YouTube
Basically
notification
nothing.
bell, you'll know when the show is, which is Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Here's a new poll, by the way, the For the People Act Monmouth University poll. So the Senate, they're scheduled to hold a procedural vote on the For the People Act.
Yeah.
Let me just recap this for you because we did a whole segment on it. I think you can go and search. You can on YouTube, but if you go to louderbetter.com. Right now, if you search on YouTube Voting Act or For the
Yeah.
People Act Crowder, you find an old PBS video with 400 plays.
Nice.
So let me just sort of give you a recap of it so we don't have to go into a whole deep dive. And you can find this at congress.gov, or we'll have the link in the description. This forces states, this bill, to allow same-day registration. It mandates and expands early voting, mandates no excuse absentee voting. It bans identification requirements for obtaining absentee ballots, and it forces states to accept sworn affidavits instead of identification. Isn't it funny that sworn affidavits are enough now?
Convenient.
When hundreds, as it related to the election, which, by the way, of course, no evidence ever that there's ever been any kind of voter fraud that's
Not
ever
at all.
happened to YouTube.
Nope.
We just want to be very clear. But all of the sworn affidavits, the hundreds that claimed that it had, well, that's just a sworn affidavit. Who really cares? And at this point, it's like, how do I know that you live there? I do. Good enough for me. Go in and determine the fate of our constitutional republic, sir.
Exactly. So how do you plan on securing the election? We are going to depend on people to be truthful.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
It just makes
Not a good
common
thing to do.
sense.
We are going to depend on people to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Did you watch that Vaccinate Gay Chorus video?
Have you been paying attention at all to society?
I absorbed it.
Whoa.
by osmosis.
Yes.
It was forced.
It was sticky.
I swallowed it.
There was a recent poll. Come on. There was a recent poll from Monmouth University on early voting and ID. And this is something we've talked about, how the majority of black people support voting ID. We didn't change our mind on this voting ID. Once you sort of get down to the nitty gritty, it's very hard for people to argue against it. And I don't think that policy should be dictated by polls.
Right.
However, when the policy is entirely predicated, right? What has the left been saying? The Republicans want to make sure that you can't vote if you're young, if you're a woman, if you're LGBTQ, and specifically if you're not white. Well, okay, hold on a second. So you really have no basis for saying that we shouldn't have any voter identification. It's not in line with really anywhere else in the modern industrialized world. It's predicated on, but it's popular. That's the only reason that I'm addressing the poll right now. Vast majority of Americans support voter ID. 84% of minorities versus 77% of white people.
Wow.
You can't find 84% of minorities and 77% of white people to agree on anything.
That's a pretty big number right now, especially a Republican policy. It's just it's the most benign thing ever to say, hey, you got to show an ID. If you got to show an ID to check out a book, you got to show an ID to vote. What's hard about that?
Put a room together with 84 black people, 77 white people, and see if you can get them to agree on dinner or the show afterward.
That's true.
None of it. Like, I want to go to the Apollo. I would like to go to the opera. Like, but do we think that we should all have to present identification? Well, yeah, should you?
No, obviously.
Of course.
Come on, please.
We're not monsters.
And there's just one guy who's beaten to death because he suggested Medea.
You ain't black.
But like, we all can agree it was
Necessary.
Yeah.
Which one?
well, I mean, which?
I don't think it matters.
There's so many. I'm sure they're all different in many ways.
let me ask this. I have a few questions for you today, and the best thing you can do is just comment below and smash that like button if you're watching this live. Hit the like button and comment. There are only a few sort of topics of discussion where I haven't even heard a valid argument from the other side. Now, I understand, for example, I don't agree with it, but I understand the arguments when you talk about abortion and people haven't really done their due diligence, so they don't know. They just say they don't think that life begins at fertilization, but they don't really know when life begins.
Right.
I understand that as it comes to taxes, you have people who say, well, you know what, people need to pay their fair share. I don't agree with it. And statistically, I don't agree with, obviously, the outcome because we sort of know, we've talked about Hauser's Law, we've talked about the Laffer curve, but I understand people's argument. There are two that I've never heard something even close to a valid argument against. One of which I've talked about is school choice.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, a voucher, which is attached to the student. That means that instead of spending $12,000 per pupil at a school where they have to go with no choice, you attach it to the student and they can take it wherever they want. Never heard an argument against it that's anything even close to remotely convincing. I've only heard people say, well, that would be racist. The other one is, and you can comment below, because I want to know what I'm missing here. I've never heard anything close to something resembling a valid argument as to why you shouldn't need to present identification to vote other than it's racist. Is there an argument out there that I'm missing?
Yeah.
I haven't seen any. Does anyone here? Can anyone think of anything? I want to make sure that I know.
Racist is the only thing that I've heard.
Yeah, but then 84% of black people are like, nah.
Like, I got an idea.
Actually,
what are you talking about?
They get offended when you tell them that you're not smart enough, as Joe Biden would say, probably because he said this about other things, to get an ID.
No, he said they're just as capable as white kids.
As white kids, right? As smart as white kids. But how in the world do you think that it's impossible for somebody to get an ID? It's an obvious ploy to make sure that illegal people who are here, not legally, get to vote. Right?
And if they've taken your license for some reason,
For some
you can actually
unknown-
get an identification card.
That's
Well, there are a lot of
true.
forms of
state
ID that they would be willing to accept.
For almost, well, in most states, nothing for
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
And the average price is like $12.
Yeah.
Yes. Unless you want the park recreation. Oh, wait, no, that's not.
No. But I love how when Biden said that, it's clear like it's like an affirmation. He was saying it to convince himself. Like, yeah, no, black kids are just as capable. They're just as capable as white kids.
Yeah.
Joe, black kids are just as capable.
Was it black kids or was it poor kids?
Poor
It was
kids.
poor kids.
Poor kids. They're one and the same. And come on, in my mind, you know the show.
Like there's no poor white
Poor
kids.
kids
out
are
there.
just as capable as white kids. Black kids, poor kids are just as capable as white kids.
Yeah, we all know what he meant.
Right? It was thinly veiled.
I think I can. Oh.
Well, look, for the people who were scared about
I made a boom,
interfering, Russians interfering with the election, how about this? How about we just let a couple 100,000 Russians vote in our election?
Yeah.
Not show ID. I understand you want to take the focus off people from South America. Okay, fine. Let's let a couple 100,000 Russians who are not citizens of the United States. That would be the equivalent of you saying nobody needs to show ID.
Now we're just gonna
potentially having people without ID vote.
Next thing is we just have a tarp for vodka and nightclubs. Hey, I'm glad you changed your system. I like to party. Yeah.
I'm a real fun, but have a very hair trigger. Huh?
You never know what's gonna happen. Only that I show up in matching tracksuit. Come to my house. I have indoor-outdoor pool. You start swimming inside, but you finish out the side.
Did you look at my cousin dressed sexy? Why are you so mad if I want to hit on a girl? This is my cousin.
This is my cousin.
Oh,
She's
your
dressed
own.
so sexy, almost like giant crystal elephant. By the way, you see my giant crystal elephant?
I drove here.
What is it with like Serbians and those when they come to the United States? It's just so gaudy if they make money.
I think they just have like in their countries. They have two posters. One is Run DMC, and the other one is a white BMW.
That is how
And
I
they're
would
like,
live my
they're
life.
like, this is the American dream, right?
Yes.
here. Gold chain, tracksuit, white BMW.
And they go to the dealer. They're like, hey, can we maybe with those tires? Can we put in like nail-in jewels? They're like, well, that wouldn't really work. It's just like having a nail in your tire. But if we never take it out,
Hey.
How about the bedazzle? Can you bedazzle the tire?
That's it. Okay, so here's where so a lot of people have. We're going to be talking about this. This is something I'm looking forward to. You might remember that there was a little spat with you guys remember with the H3 Ethan Klein a while back,
Oh,
yes.
just a little bit.
and he's a YouTube creator. Okay. And he made the comment, I think we've had it on our soundboard, that you should do exactly what the CDC tells you, this government agency. You don't even have to think about it.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
Right. And so, again, the point there was criticizing the idea. I think that's really bad.
Yes.
That's really
Yeah,
bad
you
to
could say.
tell
Bad
an
policy.
audience of young, impressionable youth that they shouldn't do their own due diligence.
Right.
That they shouldn't actually try and aggregate information and come to an informed, rational decision.
Well, of course, you can, as long as you can back up what you're saying.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
as long as you can back up what you're saying.
Yeah.
So there were some videos kind of going back and forth, and you guys know I really don't like doing the YouTube drama, the pissing contest. But and from what I understand, he released a portion of this clip yesterday, but not everything.
Of course.
Interestingly, Ethan Klein then, and afterward, when I said on air that I would love to have a conversation with him, reached out to me to debate.
Okay.
He reached out to me directly on Twitter. But first, let me kind of set some context here too, because there are some ill-conceived notions. Change my mind is very different from a debate. Okay, we've done many Change My Minds, but I've also done a lot of debates, not even including what I had to do on Fox News and CNN and HLN when I worked there for years. A Change My Mind, the whole goal to a Change My Mind, for example, is an anti-debate, where people aren't just trying to score points, where people aren't in a quadrant view where they each have 3 minutes.
It's almost like you say this every single Change My
Well,
Mind.
the whole thing is, the point of the Change My Mind was I used to sit down, we'd have these great conversations.
Right.
At the gym, or I'd have them, at a restaurant, or we'd have them in the studio. And I thought, why can't this go on air?
Yeah.
And so that's what Change My Mind became. And that being said, at Change My Minds, we've also had professors sit down, which very admirable because most of them refuse to. It's basically Change My Mind is the ones that we do on campus because about 50% of them are actually not on campus. It's just anywhere in a city where we can get a permit. It's supposed to be done in classrooms.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah.
But it's not taking place. So, because we've talked about it, radical one-sidedness at college. Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, I've done many debates, right, throughout my career. I think we have some thumbnails here so you guys can kind of see. You have mayors, you have actors, you have comedians, you have columnists for the New York Times, you have scientists.
Feminists.
You have feminists, you have CNN hosts. Lacey
repeat
Green
myself.
is in there. And then, of course, I've also even done these debates, ironically, devil's advocate, where I've argued from the point of the left against people like Ben Shapiro, against people like Jordan Peterson, Tim Pool, John Stossel. That was fun. He's a little prickly.
Yeah, he's a little prickly.
I see what you're trying to do here with your little character. Give me a break.
Just answer the question, Jim.
So I just wanted to set this so you understand kind of where we've been with this show for a while. And when Ethan Klein reached out to me to have a debate on Twitter, I think we have the screenshots here, right? Yeah, we have the screenshots where he reached out to me and said that he wanted to do a debate, just him and I.
Yeah.
I said, okay. He said, what will it be? I agreed to the terms of the debate. I said, look, we'll talk about the COVID issue because CDC, that was the initial topic of discussion. We can talk about big tech because now he supports big tech censorship. Then there were some email. I don't know if you had the emails there. There were some emails that again went back and forth where they said, "Hey, what do you want to do? We'll get on a call. It'll just be you and I, just you and I, no tricks." Very clear about that, right?
Right.
Because every time the reason I mention these other debates is every time we've had a debate with someone, been very straightforward. I disagree with you. This is the topic we're going to cover.
Right. And one of the reasons you say it's just going to be you and I, it's like I'm not going to be sitting over here on my computer trying to pull up something to kind of do a gotcha moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And you've always told me that. Like, hey, if we're ever
Right.
debating somebody, you can always come in, let me introduce you and let them know. You're never going to surprise somebody.
No
Right.
blind sides.
Yes, and you've debated real comedians that are great, like Christopher Titus.
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Well, and to be clear, I would debate Noam Chomsky tomorrow. All he has to say is yes. But he doesn't owe it to me. My kind of general rule is, look, it has to be someone who's an expert in something, someone who's really worthy, or it has to be a comparable audience. Otherwise, you end up debating every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So this was supposed to happen with Ethan Klein. And what I'm about to show you is the unedited master clip of me coming in for a sound check beforehand and the conversation that I had with Ethan. And look, I want you to understand something, too. What you're about to see sort of behind the scenes is very genuine, right? I really did wish him the best with his new baby, pregnancy, and his family and his wife. And I really did plan to come on and have this conversation in good faith with Ethan. It really wasn't an act, and you'll see how it is with any other debate, and that's what I had hoped would happen here. But I never actually thought it would happen.
Yeah.
And I know you're saying, well, it's easy to go back and Monday morning quarterback that, afterward. But all along, I kind of expected Ethan to be sort of, I wanted him to be a good guy. You try and speak people and elevate them to who you want to be, but at a certain point, cowardice is cowardice. And my greatest problem, honestly, here when you're about to watch this is if Sam Cedar who pops up, who's sort of ancillary. Really, the issue is Ethan's wife, because it's your job to try and beat the cowardice out of your husband, because you're gonna have a little boy, right? That's the thing. When you have a son, you have to make sure that they understand what integrity is. And for me, a man makes an agreement, and a man is good to his word.
Yeah.
This really comes down to an agreement, good to your word. And I know you always have two sides who claim their side wins, but really there's only one side that's based on a lie. And I wish it didn't happen, because I really wanted to talk to him about his relationship with Susan Wojcicki and the flip and the support of big tech. Because also keep in mind, too, I had to navigate some murky waters here, because the goal was to remove me from medical misinformation and any conversations about COVID. Ethan has talked about that in the past. So now, without further delay, in its full context, a little bit of a surprise, the debate with Ethan Klein. Yeah, because this mic hasn't been adjusted, guys. Hold on, let me adjust this, because I have to set it to human height since Dave was doing it. I can see some weird contact thing there. Okay.
You're just seeing yourself right now.
Right. All right, let me check this. Check 1, 2, 3. Good? All right. Okay, you guys are going to call him and sound check him? Yeah. I bet this guy's going to do anything he can to avoid actually debating. Yeah. I think he wants to do anything that he possibly can to avoid.
Yeah, let me know when you want to.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Wait, when you want me to admit him into the room, I'll just do that.
Sure. Well, I'll just say, you guys do the sound check. I don't want to sit there and talk with their producer, Dan, and stuff, but I don't think this guy wants to do this. I wouldn't be surprised if he's probably going to bring someone else on. Was his producer like a fan of that Cedar character? Yeah, that'd be my bet, but hey, hopefully he mans up. Okay, you can do your sound check.
Alrighty, here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to sit right here while you guys. Okay.
All right. Hey guys, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? You hear us well, or?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Perfect.
You and you?
Yeah, you guys sound good.
Okay, great. Who am I speaking with?
This is producer Tim.
Tim?
Yes.
Hi, Tim. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Are you one of the guys that dresses up in the crowd, or are you not on screen?
I'm running the audio board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not the Peter Pan guy or anything like that.
Peter Pan? No. No. Hold on one second. We'll get Steven here momentarily.
Okay. Thank you. Oh.
Did Dave leave food crumbs on this thing? It's like a crescent moon of filth.
Hi, Steven.
Hey, Ethan. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I just want to say on a serious note that I'm glad your wife is okay. I heard you had a little bit of a issue with your wife.
Well, she's pregnant with twins, so
yeah.
It's like well, by the way, congratulations too. I know you guys are
thank you
in the same process. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
They switch
Can you
and
turn
they breach.
down a little bit?
Oh, sorry, am I too loud for you?
I just told Dan, our producer, to turn the volume down a little bit. You're good.
I'm gonna take out my gum.
Yeah,
they switch and they breach, and so
they're rolling around.
Yeah. I mean, at first they said C-section, and then they said, we might be able to do a natural birth, but they often do C-section. And then they said, oh yeah, and then they said, no, wait, now the other one's breached, and the boy is just a dick. He just will not stop kicking the other one. It's like I always say it's like a junior suite apartment. He keeps kicking the girl, and so then the girl wakes up. So, yeah.
So how far in is she?
She's due late July, early August.
Oh, wow. That's coming right up.
Yeah, and I've got a big surgery July 1st, so I'm trying to get everything done in a hurry.
Is that your first?
It is.
Wow.
It is. Yeah, we talked about it on the show quite a bit. My wife had a basic operation for, well, I won't talk about it. She probably won't. But basically, then she woke up with something called GBS. So we it wasn't really fertility issues. It was a physical issue. And GBS actually paralyzes you from the waist down. So
that's what she was experiencing?
Yeah, when she came out, just because they put her under anesthesia. And so it's interesting, like, you know, I'm like a pro-vaxxer, generally speaking, but she can't even get a flu shot. It's one of the few conditions because of the GBS. It's like a neurological condition where she has to be careful with any vaccine. So it's just been a weird navigation. But this is your second, right?
Yeah, this is going to be our second. So we've been through it.
Yeah.
But and it's just one. It was supposed to be three, but the one child cannibalized everyone, and he has gained their energies to become the ultimate human being.
I feel like that's what happens with that's what happened with the Olsen twins. I'm convinced that one of them is evil, and
one of them ate the third one.
Yeah, something happened there. Well, it seems like whenever you see them in pictures, there's one who's more disturbing. But
maybe you're right.
But all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and doing this, and doing this. A lot of people don't, so just talking, avoiding kind of the social media pissing contest trauma. So are you ready to go?
So I just want to make one clarification. So in terms of, we're both going to record it, and then we can use it wherever we want, on your show, on my show, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's
you
the idea?
can.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can send you the file if we want, because we have the master file, everything. So.
I think we're good, right, Dan? We're recording it on our end.
Okay. Yeah, we've never used Zoom either. We did you ever get sold on that Skype TX box? Remember when that came out?
Oh no, I've always had such a pain with Skype that Zoom has always been really good. So
well, the Skype TX box is like from New Tech, I think, and they sold us on that. They said this is what Jimmy Kimmel uses and all these people. And
Skype.
Well, really? Skype TX. It's like a box that's like, it's almost like, remember the Comrex boxes? No, it sucks. So what we've had to do is we just have Mac Minis set up, and Skype has played well with those, but not the exclusively designed Skype TX box that we paid whatever premium for.
Yeah, so. Skype. I don't trust Skype. Skype has always sucked.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll just.
Okay. So we're going to record it, and then the topics are just like we said about authority with the vaccine, and there was something else you mentioned. I don't know how on.
Well, I just thought, however you want to do it. I thought that since that was kind of the subject that got us into a tiff, that we could talk about sort of the CDC, sort of medical authorities, and you can tell me where you disagree with me, and then also kind of big tech, because that ties in, with the CDC and World Health Organization. And I'll just I'll introduce it to my, I have a little bit of a different audience, to let them know kind of who you are, what's going on, and if you want to do the same, that's fine. But
of course, we'll let them know.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go. And
all right.
I'll give you a countdown, and then I'll 3, 2. All right. Okay. I'm really glad to have my next guest on the show. And I've always said this. I always respect people who enter into the arena. And, you know, we've had a lot of debates on this show, which is different from like a Change My Mind where we sit down and have conversations. But my old Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach always said, if you come a switch, we go switch. You go spicy, we're going to do a little spicy. So we always try and keep it as respectful as possible. And I really do appreciate the guy making the time because a lot of people has a huge YouTube channel, several YouTube channels, one of the OGs. A lot of people watch him. You know him. Some of you like him. Some of you don't. Same can be said for me. Ethan Klein from H3H3. Ethan, thanks, man, for making the time.
You're very welcome. And I just want to say, I know you called me, you said that I would be a layup.
I think I used something like that. Yeah,
and I think you're right because I don't think I'm a very good debater. I think you know that. So I didn't want to make it too easy for you.
Oh, okay.
So I've prepared.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what we were going to talk about is, you know, the initial quote that happened. I think he's looking off there. The initial quote that kind of was turned into a little bit of a meme, which wasn't intentional, and was you saying you don't even have to think about it regarding the CDC. And I disagree with that. I think people should think about it. I believe, and we talked about this through Playful Ribbing, in an aggregation of medical authorities and scientific voices to make an informed and rational decision. So where do you think that I'm wrong on that?
Stephen, do you know that the Spartans are like practice man love with children?
Oh, geez. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. What did I tell you? He was going to do anything he could to avoid. Oh, there he is. Oh no, Sam Cedar. What a fucking nightmare.
Thank you, Stephen.
I had no idea this was going to happen. I thought Ethan was a stand-up guy. This is where we are. Yeah, well, I told Dave, remember I told you? I said, I guarantee you he's going to do anything he can to avoid the debate.
Oh, I just think he believes that he should debate you.
No, he doesn't. He just takes advantage of women with, you know, mental health issues.
Steven,
Ethan Klein doesn't stand up and do his own fighting.
I got to say,
it's just hilarious. Let's bring on FM.
That you would do anything to avoid talking to me. I think the point.
Does that include Joe Rogan?
Yeah, Joe Rogan and Dave Rubin and Jordan Peterson and Noam Chomsky and Sam Harris. Everyone's been avoiding.
And not just attempting to get your audience by jumping in.
Well, I debated with Charlie Kirk. Stephen, I mean, it's about issues.
It's about issues, yeah.
About those issues.
That's what you're doing here.
Some valid points.
You're so clever. I had no idea that you were taking your show off early last time, coming in today with your pig pen peanuts eyes.
I wish
You take those off for the velveteen buttons?
They're just
you
black
must have been
eyes.
very worried about this, Stephen. I don't know
no
why.
one's worried about it.
Sam.
I didn't want to do it.
Well, let's
Sam, come on. I'll tell you what. I have a general rule.
This is a great
I don't start a debate based with people on a lie. And how about you get
sabotaging?
How about you get to a 30th of the audience share?
Howard. Stephen, show yourself.
30th of the audience.
Ethan, you should show yourself.
Ethan, how can you respect yourself as a man, brother?
Something so strongly that you're not willing to debate.
Stop showing your little leprechaun.
Right. Hey, Ethan, come on. Ethan, why do you have to bring on a guy who has a 30th of the viewership of yourself?
Saddest thing I've ever heard. So you have a guy with less viewers to come on to debate him because you can't? Why don't you get?
Apparently, he had to think about it, bro.
If I'm a
yeah, he had to
layup and
think
not a
about
debater.
it.
Well, look, you're the one who got personal.
You're the one that got angry about it.
Look, hold on a second. All right, hold on. Let me hear what Pigpen has to say here really quickly.
Fair enough.
But Ethan, look, I don't. Hold on a second, Ethan. This is because initially I came out here to talk with Ethan. Ethan, come on, man. Look, the same reason that I haven't ever had a conversation with Sam Cedars, the same reason that Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, Brett Weinstein, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro don't owe him anything. It's based on a lie, Ethan. Just like you claiming my booker reached out to you, Ethan, when you know that's not true.
What's the lie?
There's no one ducking you, Sam.
I've never. So afraid?
Sam. I can call out Mike Tyson. It doesn't mean that I'm ducking him.
You are so worried about
Why do you feel that anyone owes you airtime when you have a 40th of the audience and you've been doing the show for 10 times as long?
Airtime. I think that Ethan has just given it to me.
Right.
I didn't ask him for it.
Right. No, you've been begging for it for a long time with everyone bigger than yourself.
Yeah, he found a way.
He can't build an audience, and so what happens is he uploads 15 times more, has less than a 50th of the audience.
Well, that's why he wants to debate you, is so he can build his audience.
Sam, come on.
Your audience cares that I only have 1 million subscribers and you have what, 6 6 or 7
I
million
think. Let me answer.
subscribers.
Can I answer your
I don't
question?
think
Can I
they
answer your
do.
question? Can I answer your question? Do you want me to answer your question? My audience would say Sam who? Just like Joe Rogan's audience and Ben Shapiro's and Dave Rubin. Now they all know who you are because you had to shoehorn yourself into another coward show.
Into another
College
show.
students every day that you do
Why
that,
are we doing-
Hold on a
change
second.
my
Hold on a
mind.
second.
They don't know who
This
those
is another
college
lie. This is
students
another lie.
It
The
is.
cha-
What
let me
difference would it
clarify,
be?
Sam. Let me clarify, Sam. The change my mind. Everyone knows on the show, right?
Yes.
We've had
How
professors
did
on
you
the.
know I
this is
ended
what's
my
he's not
show
going to talk.
early last week, Stephen? If your
Because
audience
you're an
doesn't even know
idiot,
me,
and
how
half
did
of your
you know
staff
that?
doesn't like you.
watch my
Because I'm a
show?
diehard fan.
Yes, it's because
I
he's a
watch it all the
diehard
time.
fan.
Well,
There,
if
I had
you're a
heard of you,
diehard fan,
but I just met
why
you.
not
Congratulations,
have
Sam
me
Cedar's fan.
And
I'm just
Stephen
a
have a
huge fan.
conversation.
I like.
Well,
I
right
will
now,
talk
every time I
about
try
the
and talk,
issues
you're
that you wanna
interrupting,
talk
Sam.
about,
Yeah, and
Stephen.
he
Right
doesn't
now,
bring
I'm trying to
anything.
talk with you. You're interrupting,
You
Sam.
bombarded the show to
You
debate.
bombarded. You bombarded my show under a false pretense. You claimed that everyone, just like you claimed that I ducked a debate with you under a false pretense. Have I ever?
That is what the Politicon people told
Oh,
me.
is that
I
what they
played
told
the
you?
audio
So you're just
of it.
lazy with your research?
And if big tech is
You
what
continue
more
with the
research do
lie.
I need?
You need to
They
research
said
and
you
say,
were
did
booked.
Stephen ever accept?
They
Let
said
me
you were
let me
booked.
explain to you. Let me explain to you.
They
Let me
said
explain to
you
you.
were
Hey, hey,
booked,
whoa,
and
whoa,
then
whoa, whoa,
you
Sam,
dropped out and you
Sam,
literally
Sam,
were
Sam, Sam,
at
sweetheart,
cold feet.
Sam, fake stand-up comic who we can't find any footage about online. Let me finish.
I'm not a stand-up comic.
Oh, you're not? Okay, that makes sense because everything that I've seen is incredibly unfunny and unentertaining, which may explain the
I'm not
audience
a
numbers.
stand-up
Ironic,
comic.
irony alert. Stephen.
Comedian,
How much have you
comedian.
watched of my
The
stuff,
irony
Stephen,
of-
that
Sam,
you think that
can I
your
answer your
audience
question?
wouldn't appreciate
Sam,
our
Sam,
discussing
Sam,
things?
Samuel, can I answer your question?
Yes.
So you have gone on, you've done the same thing with other comics. Everyone has a bigger audience than you. Because you said, I want to speak with Steven Crowder. You believe that at some point there was some acceptance? When have I ever done a Politicon? Ever? When have I as a
don't
matter of fact,
know.
in the
I
last
haven't followed
decade,
your career
in the
like you
last
seem to have
decade,
followed mine,
in the last
Stephen.
decade, I haven't done a single political conference.
How
I
can
hosted
you
CPAC
say-
for 4 years and stopped because they suck.
How can
They
you
don't
say
pay
you-
and they're full
Okay.
of losers.
What
And you've been
about Gavin
clamoring
McInnes's
for it,
show?
and it's a
Gavin
lie.
told me that you dropped out
How
of doing
can you
his show
say that
because
This is just
I was
hearsay and
going to go.
gossip.
But how can he say
I've never met more of a
your
woman.
career when he wants to keep
Well, I don't
debating?
even-
I don't
I don't
know.
need to
It's
talk about
hard.
any of it.
All right. Okay.
Let's talk about the
So,
issue,
Ethan,
the
do you want to have a
CDC.
conversation, Ethan?
About
Let's
the
talk about
vaccine
big
because
tech.
you
Ethan,
were
do you
so
want to have a
strong.
conversation? You're
I
going to
do.
hide.
You felt so
Absolutely,
strongly
I do.
about
Or
it.
big
So
tech.
why are you hiding behind Sam Cedar?
Oh no!
Have
no,
a conversation
No, me and Sam are aligned. I'm
with
not
him.
hiding.
Well, you're
He
just a liar,
Oh, so you're a
Ethan.
liar.
Because remember
You
we said,
brought
hold
in
on a second,
somebody
hold on a
else to
second.
debate.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
sort of feels
It's
like you guys
ridiculous.
are the ones who are hiding.
Really? Hiding?
Really?
No, no.
Being
This is
completely
actually.
open
Who
about it.
snuck in on you?
Who's the guy who never
Ethan's being
appears on
completely
stage,
open
never
about
does
it.
a live show,
But is a
never
comic.
even sheds, never even allows a shadow of comedy to be perceived on his program? It's just hiding.
Right.
Everything we do is out in the open. H3, you know
Steven, you're wearing
that we
a holster.
agreed.
So what?
Hold on a second. Yeah? So? I want to normalize responsible gun ownership. Is that your debate? No wonder you had to bring in a hack for
You
you.
want to call it a
I'm crying out loud. That was his
Should
debate strategy.
we write it for you?
You have a holster, bro.
Also,
You have a
you're
holster
trying
as he takes advantage of mentally ill women for a show that just is dwindling. All right, okay. All right, Sam, you got it. You got it. I hope you have a wonderful highlight reel. Hope you enjoy Politicon.
Hold on. Let me just make
Hope you enjoy Politicon, Ethan. We'll release the private
Yeah, you
messages.
take it easy.
All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's adorable. Hey, Sam, one thing before I go. Can you take off your glasses? One thing before I go. Can you take off your glasses?
We just want to see if
I just want to see if you take them off. If you have the Velveteen Rabbit buttons. That's the only thing I'm curious about. It's the only interesting part about you.
Or if there's a soul.
Just take off the glasses.
Let's debate.
Don't hide behind the glasses, Sam.
Don't say let's debate, Ethan. You've lost that opportunity.
Ethan's lost the debate. All right, this is sad. This is why we don't
Ethan,
debate.
shut up.
All right, good. You guys are good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Won't even take off the glasses. All right, yeah, you can give it the X. This is just. I knew it. The guy just thought.
Was that all right?
The guy thought that. No, we're still going. The guy thought that we had no. I mean, we have the master. Quarterback, can you put on your microphone?
Yeah. Is he still on?
We have the master. No, I cut him off. We have the master file. We knew.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happens. Like someone like a Sam Cedar who just
He didn't even wait. He
never lets you
immediately.
speak.
I like
It's
how he
just-
goes, your little leprechaun co-host, because he's still mad that I said he looked like a transgender Wayne and Garth. You know that's just been eating at him for the last month.
Well, and this is the thing too. Is we don't do debates based on a lie. Like I can call out Mike Tyson, I can call out Evander. It doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
And so when someone says, "Hey, you said you would do this," and you just admitted that of course, there's no proof of that. Well, I heard this from so-and-so. Yeah, but there's no evidence. We'll bring up, we can bring up here the direct messages with, I hate to do this, but with Ethan, it was, hey, we'll talk, you and I, man to man, no one else will come in. Matter of fact, I was going to say, if I have my phone, I can take a picture right here. There's no prompter. It's just him on a call, and he's terrified. I don't know how someone like that can live their life as a man.
Well, he just also talked very cordially to you about family.
Oh, yeah.
But what I really hate about that is then he immediately pulled it, which shows no character, no class, a complete manipulation.
Well, but here's the thing. He has a show that's dwindling. No one cares about it. But so then he wants the drama, and I actually want to have a conversation. But I'm not going to have a conversation. Here's my cutoff. A general, serious rule.
Yeah.
1/20th of the audience. Otherwise, I have no time in the day, and I'm debating every Twitter egg.
Well, right. But here's my point of how you win something very, very easily. Your whole point is you're talking about a that you have questions about.
Right.
He claims that something you don't even have to think about. That's a bold statement to make. So when you go to challenge him on that, his side has to explain why he feels that way. So he sneaks in another guy because he doesn't feel that way.
You have a holster, bro.
He's bought and paid for.
You have a holster, bro.
That was his argument.
Let me show you how to use it.
You don't have to think about it, dude.
And he's and this is here's the thing. I was really curious too, and then we'll go back to the show, I guess. I was really curious from someone like H3H3, who, well, you know, Quarter Black, you used to watch him. Made his bones. I mean, he has $15 million worth of real estate in Los Angeles. He made it all with anti-social justice warrior content, triggering feminists, snowflakes. And not only that, but he was more aggressive than me. If you go back and watch, he talked about how he was demonetized.
Yeah, he was pretty aggressive.
He used the word like 50 times. And with context, just said, I just love saying the word which, it's not really couched in a joke. It was just him saying it.
Can you get millions of dollars for that?
Well, and I remember him back in the day, and I didn't really like his content, but I remember I supported him where he said, hey, YouTube should actually find a way to monetize my content that's edgier and older, because networks would be lining out the door for older male content. So he was actually more aggressive in fighting the corporate censorship than me. And then one meeting with Susan Wojcicki, and he brags on his show about how he has the YouTube VP on text, on speed dial, and all of a sudden he's saying, all lives matter is something that people shouldn't be allowed to say. That our attack on him is bordering on medical misinformation, that people should be deplatformed. I don't understand. People change their mind. I'm really curious, though, when you see someone who makes their entire living, who builds up their brand and their empire on anti-wokeness, on anti-corporate censorship, who then does a 180 and supports it at every turn. And I thought we would have had a good opportunity to discuss that, specifically Ethan and myself, not Sam Cedar, because Ethan was the one who said we should go with the CDC and World Health Organization.
He was the one that had the arguments.
Those are the big tech. Those are the big tech guidelines.
Ethan didn't debate you for 8 seconds.
No, he was immediately
to this.
Quick
to Sam Cedar.
Whatever. All right.
Well, I got to be honest. I had never heard of till now. Not that it matters if you've heard of anybody. But the only thing I've ever heard...
I heard of him because of the fact that he started, trolls with a lie that
I thought he was Seth Simmons, that guy who who makes bird calls and said Norm Macdonald wasn't... I swear to God, that's who I thought it was.
The Goodyear guy?
Yeah, the guy he got my friend Shane kicked off of SNL.
Oh,
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's who I thought it was. I mean, granted, it's kind of him, but it's a different person. I think it's
honestly, I feel like it is kind of sad.
Yeah.
It is kind of sad.
Well, here's an idea. Maybe just take the joke that we turned it into a soundbite.
Yeah.
Stop being so pissed off.
Well, I think there are going to be quite a few more sound bites of Ethan on the soundboard. So
yeah, maybe so.
Let's continue on with the kind of show that someone like H3 would never be capable of doing. Not only just that, remember, we provide references for you. So on with the show. And now we're back to live. It's like a time lapse.
Oh my gosh!
So there you go. I think Gerald, that was your first time.
That was watching
it.
I had to do the unenviable task of watching their version of events yesterday, and I don't know if they did any screwing around with audio or anything. But when I watched it, I couldn't hear you guys very well. When I watched this one, I could hear you.
There was definitely screwing around with audio.
Yeah,
well, so maybe because they were in their studio. So
maybe there's a number of different.
Well, I could never see him or really hear him aside from that.
That's true.
And that was not obvious, right? So the whole time I was thinking that you could
got a gun holster, bro.
You could see him, and what they were basically doing
bro.
switching behind the scenes so that they could put Ethan back on and make it look like they were going back and forth. So just to be clear, everybody out there, Ethan was on there for what you saw, and then it was Sam Cedar for a little bit of time before you even acknowledged his presence.
Well, there was a lag, there was delay, and all this stuff. So yeah, look, this is why, and you guys can comment below. This is the issue. Is just like I just don't want to have a debate based on a lie. You know what I mean? Like going around saying, oh, his booker reached out to us as H3. Well, no, or oh, Stephen did the political. No, it's like I've never wanted to do those things. And this whole thing, I think Sam Cedar, they were just saying like we had this scheduled. No, it was me and Ethan. And Ethan just, the biggest cell-phone, honestly, is that Ethan just been, I'm an idiot, bro. I can't debate. It's like, yeah, but you reached out to me to debate.
Yeah, bro.
Your whole thing was a lie. I mean, for you to take that same part would be like basically somebody going up and interviewing the streaker at a soccer match who's just like, please, somebody look at me. Attention. Right? That's exactly what it was. But he made a point. He said, hey, I've got 1 million subscribers. I mean, what does that mean? Well, and I did some research and I was like, okay, well, like 1 million more than I have. So fine, we'll take a look at it. It's not what we do, but fine. He has 3% of the viewership with 17 times the amount of uploads. So just to give you perspective, 3% of the viewership. So it's not like he's got 1 million people watching his videos. By the time we have this one come out tomorrow, maybe 1 million, million and a half views.
And that's not the only thing. I want to be clear. Like I know I've debated people who are professors, people who are experts, or it's got to be an audience that's somewhat comparable. Otherwise, every single Tom, Dick, and Harry and Twitter egg would be taken. I think a general rule is, and I'm thinking of being generous, like I said, a 20th.
There you go.
Of the audience, just because, look, I have a wife with twins. There's not so much time in the day.
Exactly.
But
it does take time.
Everybody wants a shot at the champ.
Well, yeah, and I certainly wouldn't say champ, but it doesn't even really require, a journeyman. Well, you someone like Ethan.
Well,
and the saddest part about this is that is it just me or did Ethan just he's like, you said I was a layup? Yeah, let me prove it.
Yeah, let me confirm. Now.
Exactly. And the only thing that they have is like, oh, you didn't expect that I was going to bring on someone else. Okay.
Well,
that's exactly what I expected, only because the only thing that can be expected of someone and this happens with a lot of people on the left, is just cowardice, is just lies. We've had this happen in the past with debates where people set a time and then don't show up, and then and that's just why we don't do it all that much. I'd like to do them live. Like I said, I would love to have someone like Noam Chomsky on the show.
Yeah.
I would have back in the day, someone like a Hitchens, people who are actually going to sit down and have conversations and who are experts.
Right, because debates like this other guy wants to do are basically just interrupting you and who has the best one-liner in the moment. That's not how you put your viewpoints out there. That's how you try to score points and try to get viewers. By the way, I love that the entire time that they were talking about this, they're like, oh yeah, it's just clickbait. He's just throwing stuff out for clickbait. Sam, your entire gig is clickbait.
That's your gig,
challenging people that have audiences multiple times higher than yours. Now that we looked at the 3% viewership rate you have, it's even worse. And nobody is taking. You're like the girl that just stalks a guy. Nobody wants to date that person.
No. That's not fair. It's like a girl who stalks 10 guys.
Yeah.
That's like rogue.
That's true. It's not exclusive.
Sam Cedar, I understand. He's trying to. I understand what he's
trying
to do.
But he's got it when he gets caught on it.
But I can't blame him. He's sort of chosen his path, and this is what he does.
Right.
I was really hoping for better from Ethan. You know this, that anytime I've had someone on the show who I disagree with, I let them know beforehand, hey, just so you know, I disagree with you, because I've had journalists in the past, whether it's a New York Times write-up or Bloomberg, saying no, it's unbiased. Look, be left, be right, just don't lie to me.
Right.
You can't find a single person on the left who we listed among the debate who said oh, I didn't know.
Right.
I had no idea what I was walking into.
Well, you were so nice to Ethan, and you kind of set it up like, hey, man, look, I disagree with you on these things. Here's what we're going to talk about. There's no gotcha moments,
cordial,
nothing like
all the
that.
time.
And then immediately, zero character Ethan shows up.
Well, and you guys can comment and let me know what you think. At what point do you owe someone a long form conversation when it's all predicated on a lie?
Right, exactly. And by the way, I took some offense. You've got a recovering alcoholic over here who basically gets
that's true.
accused of being a drunk on the show.
Yeah, you see, he said your co-host sounds like a drunk when his co-host sounds like Helen Keller learning water. But you're right, I'm the one that's been...
Yeah, like a ventriloquist when they drink the cup of water.
Right.
Yeah, by the way. And the Peter Pan guy? Come on, I did that once, man.
Yeah.
Well, it was part of
I have more costumes.
It's what happens when you put effort into a show.
I know, I was also the Mona Lisa, Ethan. Okay,
come on.
That's what's most offensive in all of this.
I've been the Academy Award trophy, right? I've been an Oscar.
I don't know if I'd want to watch his show or rather watch 2 hours of the San Francisco gay chorus.
I'd rather
play
watch,
it again.
San Francisco gay chorus would be straighter.
It's a toss-up.
I'd rather watch 2 hours of my mom's funeral.
I'd rather pay for front row Nickelback seats. And again, it would be more straight.
Yeah. Oh, far more.
And you think same thing too. He said, "What did he say to Dave? You know, it wasn't really. Was it? You're a leprechaun. You're
I'm a leprechaun.
unfunny.
Yeah, that really hurts coming from a guy who looks like he got too fat for his rollerblades.
He wears a gun holster.
He
Bro.
wears a gun
wears a
holster,
gun
bro.
holster,
That
bro.
guy has a face Christopher Reeve would punch.
Oh no!
Seriously, he's got the nerve to talk about me. He looks like an aging toddler. Have you noticed that? Like the only I saw this smug face of his too, where it's like. It looked like a mugshot of a guy who got arrested with a sweatpants boner outside of Gymboree.
It's like, that was me.
It's this. It's just amazing though. It's these moments though where they go after like Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, yourself,
right?
And they do essentially nothing, and then they jump on top of it, saying they had these Dunkin' moments where the only thing he's dunking is donuts. And I know that was too easy, but you're a fat piece of shit. So I just want to point out that what he did yesterday though was pathetic. I sat here and watched it.
Right.
All he had to do was stand on his own 2 feet and admit what and stand by what he said.
Yeah.
And instead, he snuck a guy on like he had a can of peanuts with the worm and with the snake inside. And he's like, "Gotcha!" And you're like, "No, we know it's in there, you moron."
Right.
Oh, it's a hack.
It's like, hey, take this stick of gum. I don't really chew gum. Don't you want the gum?
Come on.
No, I don't want to. Don't you? He's adjusting the trap. Here's some gum for you, bro.
And isn't he worth like millions of dollars?
He has like a well, and that's
Why
one
does he
thing.
dress like a ghetto ant going to Vegas?
Fanny pack and all.
I guess.
I'm going to win this time.
I guess the pre-show roundup of taking the high road.
Oh, I'm not taking the high road.
No. Well, Dave is going to be Dave.
But
he looks like he looks like they.
He's
still going.
He looks like they fished Andy Dufresne out of the river of shit. So
After
bloated.
a couple of weeks.
Oh, what a mess. And I've been sober for over 10 years.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
For asking.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, you can think that I drink. I wish I drank because I really liked it at the time.
Yeah.
I just couldn't.
It might soften the edge and having to watch this stuff.
It really would help me get through anything he says. But keep wearing. What is the T? What is his hat? TF? What's the T for?
What is that?
Is it total?
Total failure? I really don't know.
Total banned on YouTube.
Oh, total
cancel.
banned on YouTube.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, we don't want to go to.
No, you can't.
No. And
No,
that's
but
also
good for him for being a massive pussy and then
And taking the
running
victory
around
lap, yeah.
YouTube and then running around Twitter telling everybody that he won
That
and
he
doing a
won.
victory lap. Good for you.
Yeah, I don't. That's also the thing that is worrisome is we do have to go on. We're gonna have Donald Trump Jr. on, the president's, and again, not Hunter Biden. There was a
Different,
chess
That's
a
convention.
different.
You can make it at home, along with yogurt. He had Ethan had also, like we said, we didn't really know until afterwards. Obviously, like the sound was manipulated. That, they were doing some switching. But something else that I did know going in was that he did say that our segment on his comments on the CDC was bordering on medical misinformation.
Right.
And so this also is really hard. It's not really even footing when you have someone like Ethan who supports the banning of people, the deplatforming, the censorship, which he was vehemently against for a very long time. It's like, look, I can't even correct the record with what my opinions are because we know that those are impermissible, and he supports that. And that's always weird to me. Like, everyone changes their mind, but when you change your raison d'etre, where you make your money and your bones with anti-social justice warrior stuff, and then you switch, and that's, same thing. He has significantly fewer views than we do or overall on this show, but like you're talking about the revenue, well, we're demonetized. We're pretty open about that. And he has like $15 million worth of home, which is good for him. Yeah. But the issue there is, because he's had Susan Wojcicki, just so people out there know what this is, just like the Vox, it wasn't about Vox, it was about NBC. Yeah. And he's...
Did you say one of them was on speed dial, like the vice president was on speed dial?
he's bragged. He has bragged in the past, and he just had this drama too with this girl who has, and I don't say this to insult her, a girl named Trish Paytas who has like mental health disorders. Yeah. Self-declared like bipolar and schizophrenic, and this guy Ethan hired her to exploit her. And he's talked about with her on air how he has the YouTube VP on speed dial and how he has the ability to get people banned.
Oh my God.
So that's always what it is. It's always difficult when it's like it's based on a lie. People are trying to get you to say something that gets you banned. And we want to have an actual conversation about these ideas. I would love to talk about the CDC. I would love to talk about the emergency CDC meeting with myocarditis, myocardia, whatever it is now with the vaccine. I would love to talk about how they were wrong about asymptomatic carriers, about children being carriers, about it not being a lab leak, about masks after vaccination. I'd love to have these conversations. You just never get to.
No,
you
and
can't.
That's the reason for a change my mind, because you get to have those conversations as opposed to scoring points.
Well, with that, I think people should realize there was no constructive angle or any sort of a conversation in what happened yesterday.
Right.
That's why the call was pulled off. It was a nothing, and there was no reason to stay.
It was a
on.
gotcha.
Yeah,
well, got you.
We're not talking about the CDC. We're not talking about big tech. We're talking
That's
about
what we wanted
hearsay
to
and rumors.
discuss.
Yeah.
Do you get people deplatformed?
Right, which is always it's always weird to me.
Yeah.
Except it's not weird when you understand that it's like, I want to get mine and then remove everybody else. Hey, a girl tested positive for a pork burrito.
Oh, no.
Moving on with
How is that possible?
Shelby Houlihan, Suzanne sucks. Okay, you guys know.
Nope.
Slapshot.
I didn't know they stacked shit that high. I don't know why Houlihan brought me.
No. This is a woman, and to
Okay.
be fair, she may not have taken steroids.
Okay.
Actually, because she's passed a polygraph and she had a hair sample. But here's what's interesting here. I think all women should be allowed to take steroids, and all men for the Olympics, with the exception of 1 year, and I'll explain it to you. So she's the record holder in the 1,500 and 5,000 meter runs.
Okay.
And she's been banned for competition now for 4 years.
Wow.
After testing positive for the anabolic steroid known as nandrolone. And I think we have a clip. This is a big story right now, but there's a bigger story behind it with the International Olympic Committee.
On January 14th, 2021, I received an email from the Athletics Integrity Unit, the AIU, informing me a drug testing sample that I provided on December 15th,
Patch is
2020.
just a little too close to the
returned
SS logo
an
for
adverse
comfort.
analytical
I know it's not on
finding
purpose.
For a steroid called nandrolone.
Got to stay away from lightning
Since
bolts.
learned that it has been long understood by WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, that eating pork can lead to a false positive for nandrolone. We concluded that the most likely explanation was a burrito purchased and consumed approximately 10 hours before that drug test from an authentic Mexican food truck. I received the news that the Court of Arbitration did not accept my explanation of what had occurred and has subsequently banned me from the sport for 4 years.
Now, either her excuse is true or she just, in an incredibly racist way, threw Mexican food trucks under the bus. It's like, in an authentic Mexican food truck. What I mean is, no white people were involved. And just
even
feel the
close.
need to clarify purchased. I purchased and consumed burrito. All right, we don't need to be so flowery with the language. You ate a burrito and you think,
Yeah.
Same thing happened to Lance Armstrong.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I believe it
7
was
years in a row.
I believe
Weird.
it was 2 burritos, but now it's just one.
Right.
Lost one.
It's really more of a chimichanga.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same thing. So Sports Illustrated reported that she had a
Carnitas.
positive test of 5 nanograms per milliliter of nandrolone. Again, what she said is from a tainted pork burrito because pigs naturally have high levels. I didn't know this of
I didn't know that either,
nandrolone.
yeah.
By the way, hey, right now, you can share this if you're watching this live. Sharing is caring, right? So when you hit that share button, you can post it on Facebook, you can post it on Twitter, because
All across the spectrum.
we don't get the YouTube browser search
No.
features.
You'll feel good about
It's always
yourself
fun.
for sharing.
So I don't know if she did steroids or not. Okay.
Right.
I don't care. I think that everyone should be allowed to do steroids and let the games begin. Why? Because that's what they're doing now.
Right.
So this is something that no one else has talked about. With the IOC is International Olympic Committee, right? Or is
Right.
it Commission? Anyway,
Committee.
The IOC is it committee?
Yeah.
That's what Mitt
Well,
Romney.
gosh, now I say that. Now you got me confused.
She's in committee. She's taking testosterone and nandrolone in committee. Oh, yeah. She got a 3rd nipple and a 5th nut. Oh.
5th?
Ooh, somebody
Oh,
had
that's
a
a lot.
pulled pork slider.
Or dozens.
First, I get injected into the ass before I move my way through the bloodstream and grow an extra large love nut. Oh, congratulations, Bill. Now you're a ball. Oh, yeah. So she won't be allowed to compete because of a very small elevated level of nandrolone. And I understand that's a problem. Okay. But you know who will? Someone who's been using steroids their entire life. They're called testicles, Laurel Hubbard. Laurel Hubbard
It
is
produced them.
the male Olympic weightlifter from New Zealand.
Wow.
And I want to be really clear about this too. So the timeline here matters so that you understand. You know, I've said that really reprehensible behavior from people in the LGBTQ AIPs deemed acceptable just because people are afraid of the mob.
Yeah,
and Dave
you get a
Chappelle
pass.
echoed that. So Laurel Hubbard, a man, competed, was not very good as a male competitive lifter. Surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
Then decided that he would compete as a female. And won some notable tournaments like the Samoan or the Polynesian Games, I guess is a big deal, something like New Zealand Nationals.
Samoan or Polynesian.
Then snapped a ligament in Z's arm. I'm not trying to do this here. I'm just trying to make sure I get through this, but I'm looking at the picture of the guy from the Goonies. And snapped it in her elbow. And we all know what happens there when you alter a man's hormone levels, lower their testosterone, increase their estrogen, your ligaments become tissue paper. Now, here's the deal. The IOC, when they say that men can compete with women, you would think, okay, there are certain metrics that have to be met. No, it's
Right.
one. It's only one. And you have to prove that your testosterone levels as a man competing against women, that they are as low as a female's testosterone levels for 1 year. That's it. That's the only requirement. 1 year. And it's actually not even as strict as that. Let me be clear about this, too. Laurel Hubbard retired after the injury.
Yeah.
Laurel Hubbard just came back out and said, I'm going to compete at the Olympics. Has not been in that testing pool for a year. This happened in the UFC when Brock Lesnar left the UFC, right?
Yeah.
There was a USADA testing pool.
Yeah.
Left, went to the WWE. They announced him coming back. And it was a big deal because the rules said you had to be in the drug testing pool for a year to make sure that you're not using steroids. And he came back larger and leaner than when he was UFC champ.
And older.
Surprise! Yeah.
I
Like The
wonder
Rock,
why.
all natural.
Yeah.
Beat the hell out of Mark Hunt. Tested positive.
Easy.
And then left.
Yeah.
Oh, so Laurel Hubbard hasn't been in the testing pool for long enough. What would be my bet? Okay, hurt my ligaments, hurt my joints, get back on some gear, or really just allow my balls to work, then come in, for 6 months and beat the shit out of women. But it's worse than that. You think testosterone levels of a woman for 1 year.
Yeah.
Now I've looked through the entire IOC guidelines.
I have a mirror.
Yeah, yes. It doesn't even talk.
No.
It's just a standard basic mirror.
It says really bad stuff, but it's just still me talking.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the mirror just goes,
I don't know. A lot of
can.
people.
I can.
It goes equality.
do you want me to lie or are you going to shatter me?
We're all the same because I'm a woke mirror.
Right. So you'd think the testosterone levels of a female. Well, I looked through the IOC rules. Okay,
Yes.
Here's what it says. The testosterone, the serum level has to be below 10 nanomoles per liter, okay? Now, here's the thing. People look at that and go, well, that's really low. If any of you out there, by the way, comment below, any men or women who've had your testosterone tested.
Yeah.
Like for most men, the average level is between 300 and I think the upper end is like 1,100. That's what they allow in the UFC. 250 depending, you know what I mean? Like they might treat you for low testosterone, but that's typically the measurement. Now, for women, that's about 15 to 46. And so you read this and you say, oh, so the international, they're actually being more harsh, right? Has to be as low as 10. But then you realize they're using some international conversion unit that is not what anyone uses on their blood test. They're saying it has to be below 10, I believe, nanomoles per liter.
Yep.
What you all use is nanoliters per deciliter.
Or nanograms.
Nanograms per deciliter. Sorry, nanograms per deciliter. So I went to my doctor and converted the number that they are using, and that actually would number what you would see in a blood test 285. I believe. I think the number 288.
288?
So, in other words, Laurel Hubbard,
that more?
to compete with women, only has to prove for a year, in this case maybe 6 months, that his testosterone level is only 10 times that of a natural female.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. 10 times that of a natural female. So if a woman were actually on nandrolone, pork burrito, it still wouldn't even be discernible compared to the difference of 10 times the testosterone level of a woman. And that's just for that year. Outside of that, it's probably 20, 30 times the level.
All the years leading up to that year.
If all of you got on steroids right now, and I didn't, you still wouldn't enjoy the performance advantage over me that Laurel Hubbard is allowed to enjoy into competition for that year. And no one's talking about it.
I'm just trying to get off him, you know?
Well, I think
Tired of hitting homers.
The guy's in his mid 40s, I think. Or I'm sorry, the Hubbard is in their mid 40s. Gosh, it sucks.
Hubbard?
Right. That person is in their
person.
mid 40s, right? And I think they were competing as a man until I think 2014, 2011, something like that. So I'll give them a decade, right? I'll give them a decade and say, you've been competing your entire life. This isn't like a 21-year-old person. This even though the argument could still be made. This is somebody who's been doing this their entire life. And this is specifically something where you're lifting heavy objects, which we know men do better on average.
Let me give you an exact comparison. This would be the equivalent.
Oh, you don't call women to help you move?
Not lately. It depends if I really don't want to move. hire, was it chicks moving bricks, whatever it is. They have like hotties moving boxies. What is it?
I
They have all
don't
those stupid
think
companies.
they move stuff. I think they do
That's
other
a Shark
things.
Tank pitch.
Yeah, here's your shattered glass table. Sorry about your couch.
Whoops. But we did wear
you
low-cut
break my
clothing.
crystal elephant. What gives? She dropped it in my indoor-outdoor pool.
Again.
This would be the exact, to give you an exact comparison, it would be the equivalent to a man being allowed to, in the Olympics, call it wrestling, call it weightlifting, take steroids his entire, like every single steroid.
Right,
take nandrolone, I don't know what nandrolone, whatever the other ones are, whatever they test positive for. But all of the above designer steroids and extra testosterone for 20 years, and then say, okay, but leading up to the Olympics, for 1 year, I'm only going to take a testosterone supplement that gives me 10 times the level of a normal man. That's what it is. And so I am saying that if the International Olympic Committee wants to be consistent with this, and you guys comment and let me know what you think, I think the only way to be consistent is to let every single competitor use steroids as much as they want outside of 1 year. And then they can use half a steroid.
Right. And the female lifter, I think another power lifter, has come out and said, this is just a joke. Like, this is absolutely a joke. This is not a sport that's fair anymore. So I think hopefully they will fix this, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean,
they're gonna look bad, and they don't want to look bad.
Hey, you guys just let me know. Are you guys waiting to get Donald Jr. on the phone? Okay, let me know when we got him. Yeah, Dave, did you watch the footage of this Olympic lifter?
I did.
Yeah. How disturbing on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, boy. An 11?
Yeah.
A spinal tap 11.
Definitely. Turn it up.
I'm going to go with that.
And Laurel Hubbard is coming out now preparing. Some people use smelling salts. Some people chalk up. She is doing her infamous I'd fuck me dance.
She's powdering her balls.
I saw the Babylon Bee tweet yesterday talking about it's a terrible turn of events for IOC Olympic lifter suffers a terrible testicle injury.
This is just awful for women's sporting all around. But one hell of an ad for Gold Bond. Look, it keeps the chafing away. Wonderful. All right, so look, before we bring on our next guest, if we have him available in Quarter Black Guy, you can bring it up here so I can see him. Yep. The son of the president, again, Hunter Biden at the Cheese Convention. So what I mean is we have Donald Trump Jr. But before we have him on, I think we have a clip of Donald Trump Jr. released a video this week, which was just perfect. Perfect. That sounded like my mom. My mom. It's perfect, Steven. Perfect. Talking about Putin and Biden, the summit. So let's go to the clip before we bring him on.
Joe Biden, in a presser after his meeting with Putin, says that he gave Putin a list of things that are off limits to Russian cyber attacks. 16 of them. 16 things. The other stuff, have at it, guys.
Yeah. All right. So now let's bring on, of course, none other than Donald Trump Jr.
What's going on, guys?
Well, I'm doing very well. I need to give you your plugs. The books are Liberal, Privilege, and Triggered, and you only sent me one of them still. But you're on Twitter at Donald Trump Jr. You wrote a bunch of books. How many books did you? Was it Quarantine that you wrote like another 2?
No. I wrote Triggered, before quarantine ever happened, and then while quarantine was happening, I had all this sort of extra free time because you couldn't go to this, you couldn't go out, you couldn't leave the house. So I said, let's look at Joe Biden since the media used to do that job. Yeah. They refused to do it, so I did. And man, it's sort of hard to believe. I feel like I had a crystal ball. It's almost like all of this information about Biden corruption, weakness towards foreign adversaries like Russia and China, the sun, the racism, all of it. It was almost like it was out there, Stephen.
Yeah.
It was almost like he had a 50-year career in Washington and people could look it up for themselves. But because the media refuses to do the basic tenets of their stated job, someone had to do it. So I did it. And man, I was right about all of it.
There's a lot of crystal ball stuff going around now where people are predicting things. Hey, look, maybe in the next quarantine, you'll be able to do a lesson on how to put it in landscape mode. So, but let me ask you this. This is the point that I made, Mr. Trump Jr. I never know what to call you because it's like your dad could still squash my nuts into oblivion, and I want to be respectful. But with Russia, and there was a lot of criticism with your father versus Russia and the administration, and I always said he was a little more complimentary than I liked. However, the big difference, if you look at, it was a historical moment, for example, with your dad and North Korea crossed the border, but he sat there at the table with a plan for a deal that was denuclearization. When it didn't happen, he walked. Same thing with Russia. He was complimentary, but negotiating from a position of strength. Whereas Biden talked a lot, saying he's a killer, and then kowtowed and negotiated from a position of weakness. Two diametrically opposed way of handling it. Being complimentary, being nice, and carrying a big stick. That's what stands out most to me. What was it like, in your household when you guys were doing this stuff with Russia back in the day? It must have been incredibly hard to navigate because the media was in a witch hunt.
Well, it was nonsense. I mean, you see it. So what were the end results? Under Trump, the sanctions on Russia were higher than they had ever been in the history of the two nations, right? I think we can all say that's fair and agree on that. Under Joe Biden, what'd they get? They got a big pipeline. That's billions of dollars a year in revenue. They got they're pulling an aid package, a military arms aid package from the Ukraine. That's a huge win for Russia when they inevitably try to take over the rest of Ukraine. So Donald Trump, when he basically wouldn't talk smack on a world stage, which would accomplish nothing because he's a business guy. He understands how the real world works. If he takes the cheap shot at Putin on a world stage, it actually accomplishes nothing. It gives the media a little bit of their fodder, but then when something actually happens, when something actually matters, you've now burned that bridge. You can't pick up the phone and have that conversation. So he didn't take the sort of cheap shots. Biden will do that because he's not capable of doing the other things. So he'll take the cheap shot. The media gives him a fictitious win, and then he folds on everything else, giving Russia billions of dollars in revenue with Nord Stream 2. Maybe Hunter's on the board. There may be 10, maybe more % for the big guy. Who the hell knows? But that's the difference because the media doesn't function in the real world. They don't understand how real things actually happen. They just like to preach, from this like fictitious Disney princess world that no one actually lives in. So they wanted to ride Trump for not just trying to destroy Putin on a world stage. But what would it actually have gotten? You think it's going to change Putin? No. It just makes it harder to actually get something done when you actually need something to get done.
Yeah, I feel like former Vice President Joe Biden is like one of those guys at the gym who walks around in a tank top and fictitious lat spread. But it's like, well, we're going to see you walk up to the pull-up bar and you can't do them. So like, just stop. Why do this beforehand? You see those guys? I got their music on. I got my
when you're
beats,
having
bro.
a trouble.
I think he walks through Chuck E. Cheese like that.
We're not going to believe that you're a power lifter.
Right.
So it's,
I want to ask you something specific, though. I want to ask you something really specific because I feel like this is in your wheelhouse. This was what stood out to me and to a lot of people. Well, we're talking about former Vice President Biden being weak. Your dad, to the best of my knowledge, never did anything like this. He said he gave Putin a list specifically of 16 things not to hack. I thought that was a fake headline at first.
Dude, I was like, is this the Babylon Bee? Because, I mean, first of all, these are have at it. The other 50,000 things that are part of our critical infrastructure, you guys can play around with that. I mean, it's such a weak move. It's so pathetic. And by the way, what was worse was, did you see the media said, look, Putin says that Joe Biden seemed very sharp in the meeting. Of course he did. You think Putin's dumb enough? He wants to negotiate against someone sharp. He's going to build up Biden because he wants to be at the negotiating with Biden for the rest of eternity.
Right.
That's how. And the media doesn't say anything about it. They assume, oh no, Putin's being 100% serious. He thinks Biden's at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Imagine Trump got a compliment like that from Putin, and the response. It's just we're living in bizarro world. And it's playing out before our very eyes.
Well, and for him, even, Harris is too extreme. He's like, I don't want her in charge. See, put people with drug offenses to slave labor camps to build roadways and put out fires.
I mean, think about it. Vladimir Putin is owning, the American policy on some of these things and the insanity. He's literally able to go out there and have fun with how stupid this administration is. And, again, there's total media silence on it, but hopefully people like ourselves can get that information out there.
It is. It's really sad. And then I want to, Gerald has a question, and then we're going to have to go to Mug Club here and then let him really rip. But yeah, Gerald, what was your question here for the Don?
Well, so your video said that, so what was the 17th thing on the list? But not only that, can you imagine being in business and going to all your competitors and saying, here are the 16 essential things about our business, by the way. Make sure you don't do anything like this to compete with us. I think Putin's sitting there with his notebook yes. Oh,
I forgot to list accounting.
I thought we had counterintelligence for that. You're supposed to keep that a secret, Joe.
You might as well just give them the nuke codes.
Yeah.
Like, hang on to
Well,
these.
that was, hey, by the way, you played a few seconds of it, but that was like a 5 to 7 minute rant on how stupid this is. But yeah, 100%. So you highlight to your enemies, these are the things that are really, really important to us. These are perhaps our weak things. These are perhaps the things that would make it really hard for us to respond back. So please, pretty please, don't mess with those. And again, it's like giving them a permission slip to mess with the rest of it. The other 50,000 things, like if you do that, we're not going to counterattack. We're not going to push back. We're just going to roll over and die like everything else that we do with our adversaries. I mean, Putin is loving it. It's why he's complimenting Joe Biden on a world stage. The media says, it's because Joe Biden's so sharp. Yeah, like, does anyone believe that? Like, is anyone at this point in world history, is the media truly not the enemy of the people at this point?
Well, I blame it because I think a lot of the media, they're barren hags, because anyone who has a kid knows that trick. Like when my dad or my mom might go soft on me and send me to my room and I knew I wasn't getting a spanking, I'd be like, what? No, not my room? Ah, damn it. And I have the Super Nintendo in there.
My room where I play video games for the next 8 hours. I would hate that.
Couldn't you please just give me the belt and be over with? I guess I'll go. Okay, all right. Well, this Game Boy's not going to play itself. Bye, Mom.
But Steve, it's a great analogy because that's what it's like. I mean, you're dealing with like a president who basically has the functional capabilities of a child, and yet we have him out there on the world stage. No, but like seriously, look, you had Boris Johnson, right? He's shutting him down because Biden was trying to correct him because he didn't remember that Boris Johnson introduced, the president of South Africa like 30 seconds before, and Boris is like, "Shut up, Joe. Get in the corner." Like,
I know.
Your mush. Go play with your toys. Like, shut up, Joe. I already did that. And Biden's like, no. The entire G7 was laughing at him.
I know.
And then you saw the other time Joe tried interjecting, and they're just like, "Talk good hand, Joe. Just shut up and be, the wallflower. The media will fawn all over you. Just do us a favor and don't open your mouth because you're going to embarrass yourself, and by association, you're going to embarrass us." They're doing that to him on a world stage. Look at the pictures, of Macron pointing.
That was my question to you. What would have happened?
His lunch.
What do you think your dad would have done?
It's disgusting.
Don, what do you think your dad would have done if a Frenchman got in his face like this? Seriously, what do you think would have happened?
Nothing, because it would never have happened, Stephen. They would never do that to him because they know. Look at the videos from last year's G7. You had Trump sitting there like this, and Angela Merkel's at the desk. He's laughing at her to her face because he's got all the cards, and he knows it, and they know it. But the same clowns, like in Germany, where, no, we want the Russian pipeline. It's like, and they also want us to pay for the NATO defenses, right?
Yeah.
Joe Biden said that the EU is the backbone of NATO. We pay 70% of the NATO budget, 70%, right? What do we get from it? Nothing. So we pay 70%. We are supposed to protect Germany and the other EU countries in NATO from the enemy that they are enriching with a pipeline. And no one thinks that this is insane. Like, this is, no, it's totally good. So Joe Biden says the EU is the backbone of NATO. No, we're the backbone of NATO, moron. We pay for all of it.
They're the backbone of NATO, like Bernie Sanders catches most of the bill. Like, I got it. Like, really? You're going to leave your 12% tip to the number? Okay. Hey, look, you're obviously, people can follow you on Twitter. The book is Triggered. Is that the most recent one, the book, really quickly?
No, Liberal Privilege is the most recent.
Liberal Privilege. And I want to keep talking with you. We're going to talk about the rallies coming up and also the lab leak. But the lab leak, you have to be careful here on YouTube. So we're here with Donald Trump Jr. If you are not a Mug Club member, consider joining. YouTube, thank you, but you know what to do.